Welcome to the Leading at the Next Level podcast with Dove Development and Consulting, the show built to provide ongoing support for your leadership journey. Wes Dove here, and like Cindy and I've gotten to do over the last several weeks, couple months, whatever, I get the opportunity to chat with today a dear friend of ours, Chaz Haywood. Chad is the clerk of Circuit Court in Harrisonburg, Rockingham County. More importantly, Cindy and I have developed a great friendship with Chaz over the last several years in different events, different civic organizations and so on. And we just love Chaz. And we're going to talk a little bit about the partnership that he has with us, his team has with us for the upcoming Leadership Legacy experience, but really specific to their organization and why it fit. Now, before we go into that, I would love for you to be able to talk a little bit about your professional background, your experience in the industry you're in, and the impact you make. And I'll come back to that impact more later on, though.
That sounds great. Well, I love you guys back, just so you know. Y'all are so much fun to work with. You bring joy to pretty much all the crowds. And so I'm excited to join you here today. So background. So I've been the clerk of the Circuit Court for Rockingham and Harrisonburg for, I'm on 17 and a half years. And which is crazy for me because I don't feel that old. But I also am amazed at what we've done in that period of time. And when I say we, it's clearly staff driven. I get to drive a ship and I really hope that I steer it the right direction. When we don't, we adapt, and that's okay. I always tell folks that I really like failure. I really do, because I really think we choose to get something good from that. And that idea that people talk about, it's how many times you get up, man, just getting up's fun. But the point with that too is make sure you that's what I tell a lot of folks, share your failures. Because people so often, I think, in young leaders and even as older leaders, they're afraid to say, I goofed up. And I think when you hear that from others, it really should inspire you. And I think your staff, people you work around it with, need to hear that. And while I don't do that enough, I still strive to remember that. So my background has been here in the circuit courts. Prior to that, I spent, I think, 14 years with members of Congress. I was fortunate to come along under the lines of former Governor George Allen, who I think is just phenomenal at caring for his people, his family. He called us his A-team, and he really taught me a lot. And prior to that, Congressman Goodlatte was the 6th District of Virginia. Spent a lot of years working in constituent services, taking care of people, and which is really along the lines of what I do now, what I did for them, what I did before them. And there's something looking back and seeing that when you're taking care of people and it's not for your benefit, it's to lift up somebody else, your leaders, make them look good. There's something really crazy that I think happens in the universe. This God inspired something by do good, be good, and really good things happen to you. And for me, that's what I feel. I feel good people got in my way. God placed them there along the way. And life is so much better than I deserve and I could imagine. So that's it in a nutshell. The Army was in there for 9 years in the Virginia Army National Guard. The leadership as a non-commissioned officer was in a phenomenal time of getting on the ground and also taking care of knowing each other. So there's lots of those odd things throughout the past, and I'm just glad to be here.
Chaz, I love hearing that background. Cynthia and I talk all the time about how blessed we are through the people that we've gotten to meet. And you shared a lot of that too in your journey, but I mean, the friendship that we've developed with you, I feel like, gosh, because we knew people who knew people, and we've learned to know you through that process, we're just better because we get to meet good people. Relationships are so powerful for that. Now, I'm going to come back to what you said about serving people next, okay? Right. But right now, I'm going to ask you this question about, what is your clear purpose for accepting that leadership role and that responsibility that comes with being in a leadership role? Because let's be honest, some days it's hard. Some days it would be easier to go make widgets. It would be easier to do a run-of-the-mill job than to hold leadership responsibility. What's that purpose that drives you?
I think that concept of serving others is what has kept me going really, really well. Every day I get phone calls. I had 2 over the lunch break, which kept me a little delayed in coming to you. And they begin with the comment, Chaz, I know this isn't your thing, but I need help finding that thing. Or I know this isn't yours, but can you help me? And those are the best, because that comes from all those relationships along the way, with whether it's with government people or business people, leadership, whatever it might be. To me, servitude is just the core. And that's taking care of not just your public in my role as an elected official, but it's taking care of your people, because my people take care of the people that are walking the door. They're the front line. They are right there. And every bit of what people take from our office, good or hopefully not so bad, comes from them. And if I don't take care of them well, I'm setting myself up. And that happens sometimes. We all get busy with life and family and jobs and extracurriculars and all those things. And I think the big thing is to come back to that, saying thank you, really telling people you matter. And I've really tried the last handful of years to really get to a point where I just make sure people know they matter. Matter is a huge word. You belong. You're worthy. Worthy is a big one. It took me 45 years to understand that I'm actually worthy, because I don't still feel like I still wonder how the heck I get to do this such fun job. I just don't understand it, other than grace and forgiveness and all those things that come along in a journey. But again, it just core goes back to serving everybody around you, serving the people you know, serving the people you don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll echo that a little bit, Chaz. I feel like through the relationships, through the opportunities that we've had, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on me to make sure that I'm being as much of a giver and serving other people and being able to pay it forward. Because, my goodness, to your point, I didn't deserve any of it either.
Yeah, we hear often about I think the best thing I tell people to do is just make sure you ask questions. It's like you're dating. It's like you're courting somebody. It's whatever it might be. It's that friendship that you're trying to maintain. It's like, or a new friendship. And it really is that concept of the 2 ears and 1 mouth that God gave us. Listen twice as much as you speak, and you'll be good. And I'm bad at that sometimes. So,
well, because you're excited about the people around you enjoying the experience with you, and it matters. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest testaments that I can say to everything you said to answer that question about here's your purpose, here's how you love serving people, is the times I've had some wonderful opportunities. You've taken me into different places within your building that most folks may not get to go unless they ask. But just when I'm west off the street and nobody knows me from anybody, I've still had amazing experiences with the folks on your staff. They're extremely welcoming. They're extremely service. And that comes because that's the environment. That's the atmosphere you've built. And we just love seeing that. So very nicely done, sir.
Thank you.
I say all the time, I can sit in the garage and it doesn't make me a car. Someone can have a position or a title that doesn't make them a leader. For you, as you've grown through those roles, now I think I know where you're going to go with this, but I'm going to ask anyway. What's really motivated you to hone that skill set of being a strong leader, not just having the title, having the people that report to you, but leading effectively and serving? How have you developed that?
Wow. And I think that all just comes down to, it's not about your college and where you went. It's purely about who you're surrounding yourself with. Nothing but that. Whether they say, read this, look at this, getting in my way, Chaz, that's a poor decision. Hey, Chaz, you can do better. And really having guys, and I am specific to guys. As a guy, I try to really narrow in, because I think I could speak to men a little more freely and closely, because we've been in shoes and walked their paths and made their mistakes. But I really think it's because of the people that have been around me. I think about a real quick story, which I've told a few people. Years ago, when I first moved to Harrisburg in 1992, I was trying to get into JMU. I was already an older student. They turned me down, and this guy gave me a chance that if you take 2 classes and get 3.0, we'll let you into JMU, which was a game changer for me. Got to JMU. Life has been great. When I went to work for JMU, handling industry and government relations, I worked under the late, great Dr. John Knopfsinger. John Knopfsinger is a powerful leader, powerful heart, just an amazing fella. And while I was working for him at JMU, because he gave me a chance when I needed a job at JMU, I came to find out that he was that guy back in 1992 that was just Mr. Knopfsinger, who ran the adult degree program, who gave me that chance. So twice he saved my tail. So I always tell folks that you just never know when someone else come around. So that's part of my reason, is a huge part I talk about often, is John Knopfsinger, because he gave. He always saw more in you than you see in yourself, and he pushed you and helped you get there. And so again, for me, that's my goal from now till hopefully when God takes me somewhere else that's better, which I can't imagine something better. But when the time is done, I really hope between now and then it's just building up so many young folks and young leaders and giving them opportunities like through your programs. When I go out and find young professionals or others and say, hey, I got to see at this table, you should be there. And they come away in awe. That's what this is about, is giving other people these opportunities. Not that I can't grow more, but they have decades ahead of them they're going to be able to really do some good things, and they need your tools, which fantastic.
Well, so 2 points on that. That was one of the pieces and for me and Cindy today, that's some of the biggest fulfillment that we get. We've got a fantastic group of business owners and CEOs that we've worked with for years, and it's just this neat collaborative that we do, and they're just amazing people, and they stretch me every single day. I was just with one of them right before we're having this conversation. But one of the most fulfilling things that we get to do is when we see the person that's 24 years old and they're growing and they get it. And they're going, I can have a head start, and I don't have to go through some of the failures. Failure's important, but gosh, if you can learn from mine and not have to make them yourselves, it's so beautiful. And when we see people get it.
Absolutely. What a good feeling.
Yeah. Now that brings me to the event. So you and your team have partnered with us on the Live to Lead Harrisonburg event for several years, and you're locked arms with us for the Leadership Legacy experience that's coming up on June 13th. Why were you initially willing to? Because you didn't know what it was. You hadn't been to the event. You'd heard some different community members, but why were you willing to initially? And why have you continued to be willing to say, hey, Wes and Cindy, I'm in. How do we help you?
Well, I think the success that you've shown, and not necessarily you directly, but these people who talk about it, the chatter that occurs from what people get out of it, being at one of your events and seeing the people around the small group tables talking through ideas, seeing those relationships that also build, because they're going to be running relationships together again for decades after we might be gone. And I think for me this is giving them opportunities that we didn't have. And there's such unique ability. It's not just picking up how to be a great leader, a number of great leadership books, but it's really about just giving them tools. Setting them in a room for a day or a half a day is far better than here's a book that sit on your nightstand. I hope you read it.
Yeah. Well, and again, the relationships, all the relationships I have made me better. Yeah. And some weren't great relationships, but all of them, if we can learn, we can learn from and pull from. So I appreciate you sharing that, and how you sew in. There's so many things that over the last several years, when I've had lunch with different people, I saw on social media, got the John Knopfsinger Award recently. When I talked with him, he said, yeah, you don't hear Chaz talk about this. Here's what he does to help our organization off the radar. And I hear that so many times, and I love that about you. And you never talk about here's what I'm doing, but other people see you, and I study you. It's so cool. Thank you for that.
That's powerful. Thank you. That's emotional. That's what we're here for. Yeah.
So, well, it 100% is what we're here for. It's so cool to see, because I'll keep, here's why I have a list of questions, so I can keep repeating on the questions, right? We could do that. What would you like the community to know about you, and more specifically your team at the Circuit Court, what you guys do? Because there's so much amazing stuff that you do that most people never would realize. Now, you do amazing with social media, but there's more to it than what even gets shared there.
You know, we push a lot of social media, and a lot of it has to do with history, because Rockingham County was created in 1778. We have a lot of records here. We have records written on vellum, which is skin, and which from King George II and King George III and Dinwiddie, Gooch, Lord Fauquier, all these amazing Virginians, and we have all this history, and people bite onto that and are intrigued by it. But that's just the record. I tell people the record we create today, that's tomorrow's history. And we have a lot of it. But on a day-to-day operation, if I talked about the technology we've created with the jury management system that's used in 40 courts in Virginia now, and was created here in Rockingham County. If we talk about the best land record system, we can talk about all this technology, people kind of glaze over. But again, if you say, hey, look at this document from 1780, that's fast, that interests people. So our social media, we play more on that. But day to day, I mean, it is from the criminal side, it's the only level of jury cases in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is the jury court. This is the first level of appeals. If you don't like what happens in the lower courts, the land record side, you put your deeds to record here anytime you buy or sell a piece of property. So we have those records forever, back to 1778. We have the marriage licenses, marriage bonds. So we tell you who got hitched here back in the 1700s. And those are all available online. Probate. So if you die and have a will, great. If you die without a will, and it's called intestate, we have that process here as well to make sure the laws and the wishes of the individual, if not the wishes of the individual, are followed through with. We do passports here. Rockingham County has a person who sits down here in the office, and I always tell people, come here, because if you come here for a passport, your $35 fee stays local. If you go to another institute or federal government, it's all going to the state or the federal government. So that puts about $80,000 a year into the local coffers. But name changes are done here. If anytime you want to change your name after the age of 18, you can. You can become anything you want, Wes. Wes the Great. We can. So again, it's a lot here that the staff do every day, digging in, taking care of people. At some point, everybody's life will touch circuit court, or your afterlife will touch circuit court. Is that a good nutshell?
That's fantastic. And I shared I'm going to share it live for God and everybody here as we were having this conversation. A friend, two very dear friends of mine that I worked with for close to 20 years, their daughter, when I saw that she came to work for you, I was almost in tears, because I love her parents, and I was so happy that she was coming into work in such a great environment and working with you. So it's cool. I love seeing good people together. That's fantastic. And the work you do is awesome.
It's timely. If people are watching, we're hiring. We have two criminal deputies and a civil deputy position open right now, which is good. One of the things I think you do as a leader too, I think is always important. And I say it, but I don't always have to like it. But it's that we build people up for their next better thing. I'd like to build you up, and you do really well, and stay here with us and make my life easier by being so good in the public. But at the same time too, we have to remember that we're building people up, giving them things to go somewhere else and do better if they choose. And that's just what we should be doing.
Chaz, one of the most cherished relationships I've got in my life was a boss that, when I was in my early 20s, when I started working for him, and he pulled me aside and he said, Wes, I want you to interview somewhere outside of the company once every year. And I'm terrified. Holy crap, what have I done wrong? And he said, no. You've not done anything wrong. I want you to be prepared. If you ever need to interview, it's uncomfortable. I want you to be prepared. So if you ever have to, you've got a great shot. And he said, I love you. You're doing a great job for me. I don't want you to leave. And hey, he lives in Knoxville, Tennessee today. If he calls right now and says, hey, Wes, I need this, Wes is going to figure out, how can I serve him, or do I need to be in the car?
Yeah.
Because I know he cared about me when he did that. And
that's good.
So, and I did work for him for a decade. So and we worked hard for him through that decade. I was very invested into making sure he won. So next question I'm going to toss at you. Give me a recent example. There's a bunch you get to pull from. Give me a recent example of some kind of project, campaign that you and your team have really spearheaded, and the impact they've made on the community or even within the industry you're a part of. You've alluded to a few. Pick one.
Yeah, I think it really has to be the historical one. We've really laid groundwork across the Commonwealth. It began as the Exploring Rockingham's Past. It was just about Rockingham history. We started specifically with the Shenandoah National Park, the take cases up there, moving all the families off to Great Skyline Drive back in the early 1900s. Back in the 1900s when we were born, which sounds like a long time ago, but early 1900s. That became really interesting to the families who are still around, whose families were moved from out. And then we moved to prohibition cases, and prohibition cases were fantastic. And then we started to see the melding of the names, like, oh, so we had these people and they were on the mountain, and oh yes, fruit grows on the mountain. So that makes good moonshine. And so we started to play with these history, and then it just kept going. And we went down the path of criminal cases, and cases related to slavery and cases related to voting rights. We're in the middle of going through some voting rights and finding all the original schools in Rockingham County. So we've got a hand and we're working on mapping that. But when we started to grow, we had other localities say, I've got some of that. So we changed it to Histories Along the Blue Ridge, which is, you can link on my genealogy page of my website. But what's interesting about Histories Along the Blue Ridge is now we've picked up Augusta and Madison and Greene, pretty much the other localities, Shenandoah, Page, other localities that touched the skyline. But they've also all started to put in all of their other historical documents. And what's great about that is they're indexed in there. They are free. So if you come to my office and need something, typically I have to charge you 50 cents a page. But the more history we can just put out there up somewhere else, and that's our partnership with JMU, the better, because then you can get it for free. And we've actually opened up on my web, if you go to my land records division, we've actually opened anything that's over 100 years, we're now making available free, because I feel that's historical. And the Code of Virginia offered this little tidbit so we can give more away, and we're not giving it away. I remind everybody all the time, you pay our salaries, you pay for the building, you pay for the computers, you pay for everything else, and it's online. I don't know why we're charging you, but we have to because the law says we do. But we will give you back as much as we can, as often as we can. But the history part is we Shenandoah, the Shenandoah Valley Technology Council recognized us a couple times over the years for these projects. And then last year, Governor Youngkin recognized us with the COVID's, the Big Technology Award for this program, which is huge. Neither President Biden nor President Trump have called yet, but I keep waiting if they want to make it into a national thing. But honestly, all jokes aside, we get attention from across the country because of this history that we have here. Because, of course, this was a huge settling area before westward expansion. And so there are people, even me, a kid from Idaho, born in Montana, raised in Idaho. A few years ago, a cousin said, "You're in Rockingham, Virginia?" And I, of course, said yes. And he said, "Look up a name." And I looked up a woman's name. It was Bragg or Brigg. It's terrible for me to remember. I think it was my 7th or 8th great grandmother. She actually got married in Rockingham County in the 1780s. So even my history as a kid who thought he was always from out west tied back to right here where we are now. And that's pretty special.
Yeah. I think you know Philip Reed, Chief of Police in Bridgewater. He's a dear friend of ours. He'll be on the panels for the event that we've got coming up. I love how you and Philip, and there's a handful of others that I watch be so intentional about, you pay our salaries. How do we provide this level of service? Philip does it intensely for the citizens and the business owners, the constituents in Bridgewater. You do it for so many people. It's cool. And that's why I love you sharing that, because so many people don't understand, I've got to go pay for this or that or the other. And well done, sir. Thank you for sharing all.
I think it's a great question. I just saw Philip at a lunch event, and I ended it with, is there anything else we can be doing for you, or how are we doing for you? And that's just a question. I think if you're leading something, especially that with taxpayers' money, because it's not your business, that you have to really constantly ask those questions and be ready for your failing, be ready for, I had a problem, be ready for your staff must have been frustrated, or be ready for all those things. Be welcome for, oh, it was great, your people were so good. But again, I think you have to ask and be willing to just take that and grow with it.
Well, and hey, we're not in public service. We are in public service, but we're a private business. Cindy and I need to make sure that we're doing that same thing. That's all of our roles should be that.
Yeah, people you serve. That's right.
Now, this is a little bit different question, but take it where you want to. I've been through this series asking folks to talk about the purpose of the organization they're with and how it aligned with their own values and purpose personally, and why they were willing to go there, why they were willing to be part of the organization. Yours, again, it's an elected role. So how were you able to make sure that the purpose and values of the team you're leading really were something that you were proud of every day?
There's a lot to those questions you just asked. So I think that I didn't seek this. I didn't say I'm going to be clerk of court someday when I grow up. I planned on being a history school, social studies or history teacher. That's why I was at JMU. It worked out different. But I think that those other jobs, like we know, and experiences prepare us for something. And then years ago, I had a former supervisors, Pablo Cuevas and Chuck Aaron. Chuck Aaron has passed. Pablo's still kicking at VMRC. And they called me one day, and I thought they were looking for some federal money because I was working for Senator George Allen at the time. And they said, hey, we want you to think about running for clerk of court. And my response was, what's the clerk of court? And so I spent about 2 years just visiting as I traveled Virginia, visiting other clerks. And I suddenly realized it really is about paper management, less paper nowadays with technology. There's always going to be paper in court systems, and people management. And I thought, between what I had been doing and have always done and military, just these little things. And really, I thought, wow, that is something I can really dig into. Mine is so much administration, still a lot of hands-on, but it's a lot of administration. It's not an office of 3 clerks where you have to know and do everything. I don't even know how I could keep up in the criminal division, or maybe the deed room, or whatever it might be. If you're not in those trenches every single day, you're just going to drop things. But I that's when I ended up here, and then we ran with it on technology. We were the first in so many different online systems in Virginia. Because I'm always looking for time. What can I save 10 seconds on? Because if I save 10 seconds and we do that 2,500 times a year, that's time. That's good. So whatever that little thing is, that's what we did. And so we created the first marriage kiosks, which are now used in all of Virginia. We just did those little teeny things. The hard card for people's concealed carry permit. If you have one, it's a hard card. We created that here in Rockingham County, and that was kind of fun. But all those little things are what I'm good at. It's the little things. I'm really good at getting out there, I think, talking through some ideas with advice, with people's input. And then a lot of times there you go. And then I get out of the way. I'm afraid to show you mine. Last time I pulled mine out and did that to a legislator, he looked at me and said, I think you're expired, Chaz. And good thing I wasn't carrying at the time. So
double checked. I'm not expired. I'm good.
That's good. That's good. So, but again, I think finding those little things that you can give back we always try to look, what can we just give back? What can we not charge for? What can we pretty much have to charge for everything except for if you're a veteran and have a DD 214, we put that to record for free. But other than that, but we still try to, how do we provide better service? How do we make it so you don't have to come down here to the office and do something? How much more can we do online from your computer, from your phone? And we are so squared away. And I was looking at statistics the other day. Out of the 120 circuit courts, we are still the 9th busiest. We go between 8 and 9. That's out of 120. And you think about Virginia. We're busier than Richmond. Richmond has Richmond City and Richmond County. We are busier than the majority, and that tells you how amazing the staff here are working and putting out. We have really good support through Rockingham County and the city of Harrisonburg. They keep us. We couldn't work at the standard with the numbers that the state had. We did that a long time, and it's not sustainable. We're actually in my office. I'm part of a study right now. We're all doing a workload study across Virginia because we're following workload standards from the 80s. Back in the 1900s, the 80s, and best music though. And right, I'm glad you did that. I'm actually taking my bride to see AC/DC next month, so I got good points. But we're just constantly working. What can technology do? What can technology pushes towards? And so I know I went all around your question, but I that's my fit. I think my fit. It's not that broad problem. So it's just I get ideas, and I get crazy ideas too. I'm sure my staff will tell me plenty of times, nope, Chaz, that's not probably the best idea but I have leaders that feel comfortable to just say absolutely not, no. And that's good. That's a great environment that it might frustrate me, but I know they're telling me exactly what I need to hear because I may think it's brilliant. But then they pull me right back down and they're so good at that. And everybody should look for those people, those leaders that they have under them that'll tell them bad idea. No, this is why. And that tells me, and I didn't really think about that till this conversation, that I'm doing something right because they're willing to do that.
Yep. So 100% correct. And I pictured some of the faces of the folks, Elena being one, who I think is absolutely willing to say, no, time out. And praise God for that. Cindy does that in my life, probably not enough because she wants to serve and please, but praise God, she's willing to call me out on it when she does. Now, Chaz, I'm going to summarize. I heard something, the theme of what you just shared really ties back to the second question I asked about what was your clear purpose for accepting that responsibility. I heard service, and I heard how you've woven adding more service to the taxpayers, the constituents, whatever, through everything you do, not just for Rockingham County, but you've been able to resource folks around the state and even around the country with that service. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I used to always say, and I really believe it more now, I haven't thought about it in quite a while, that when I was elected, my job as a clerk of court is certainly to make sure everything is running well here. Mm-hmm. But I also believe that my job and my abilities, don't stop sitting here at this desk, talking to this computer or doing email. It doesn't stop here. It's what can I do better to impact the Commonwealth? What can I do better? What can we do better? I spend more time now that I'm a senior clerk. I spend time in a lot of conversations with newer clerks, younger clerks from around Virginia who have that same spur in their side, ready to go. And I'm so excited for them. And so so I do spend a bit of time being a sounding board, and that is such an honor. Honor is a tough word to use because it's way overplayed. But wow, what is it when they're calling you and saying, what do you think you would do in this? And I have plenty of answers, and there's plenty of times I say, I got the right leader on my team that I want you to talk to about this. Mm-hmm. And then that also builds them up. And hopefully that's telling those new clerks, rely on your people. I can't imagine a better job in the Commonwealth of Virginia ever. I can't imagine a better job ever, period. This is too much fun. Days are long. I was looking at my schedule for a couple events on a Saturday that's keeping me out of camping on my first day of camping this coming Sunday. But it's not work when you just get to go say hi to people and talk to them about what you do or help them. That's good stuff. And y'all pay me for this, so thank you.
Chaz, two quick bullet points, and then we'll get to the last question. One is you mentioned Pablo. And I've got so many dear memories of him. I lived on the same street as him when I was growing up, of setting out. He would come out and talk with us about fishing. I didn't fish, but I loved hearing the stories he would tell. Yeah. What a wonderful guy. His daughter, Erica, and I went from sixth grade all the way through our senior year. Most of us had a lot of classes together, still consider a dear friend today. I love the guy.
I didn't know that about your past. I spoke to Erica last week. I'm working on a project where we're talking about language barriers between courts and the public. I mean, Harrisonburg has, I think they say 60-some languages in the city schools. Rockingham County has plenty as well. On my site, again, we actually created some videos partnering with Appeal Productions. I hope I can say that.
Absolutely.
And Andy Van Hook, love that guy too. And but we partnered with him, and we created through the city schools, got the main languages, and created some quick little snippet videos. And even has a cartoon Chaz that I think it has me wearing this jacket and shirt. So I do have more than one set of clothes. But cartoon videos in Arabic and Swahili and Tingran and French and Russian, and just helping people through the process of a name change, a divorce, marriage license, the common to-go things that people do here. But Erica reached out because we talked about what can we do down in Chesterfield, because she has some ideas to do within the schools, and they want to start some of these projects. So that again that's taking it somewhere else. And it's just because we did something right here. So talking about it isn't always gloating about it, but when you know it works, man, just share it. When it works, it's good.
Yeah. You talked about the days are long, and there's a lot of those days. I don't remember which chapter it is, but there's a chapter in my newest book, Leading with Clear Purpose.
Yeah.
That's the theme of the event coming up. That's called Work-Life Harmony, not work-life balance. And when you've got a clear purpose and you know what you're trying to do and you get fulfillment from it, there's no such thing as too much. It's harmony.
Yeah.
I'm out of balance when I'm not enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah. And just making sure you're honoring your wife enough by spending that time with her.
Hey, the biggest blessing in my life today is that I get to work every day with my wife.
Woo.
And when we travel together, we're working together. We celebrated our 25th anniversary a couple weeks ago, and we traveled. It was very, very intense work prep for different stuff that we've got going on. But there's nobody I'd rather do it with in the world than with her. And we get to do that every single day. It's the biggest blessing I've got.
Yeah. And you say working together. So, my wife, Mrs. Virginia, she's a farmer. I could not keep up with her. So I wouldn't want to work with her because she's hardcore. And I can carry her shovel and her bucket of fixings for a barbed wire fence, but I can't keep up with her. So I'm glad to come here to the air conditioning and get work done.
Yes, understood. Now, the last formal question I'll ask you is what advice, and you've done a little bit of this so far, what advice, if I'm asking you as a young, aspiring professional, and I say, Chaz, I want to grow into a leadership role. Notice I didn't say management or supervision role. I want to grow where I've got leadership responsibility. What advice would you give me?
A lot of times I try to tell folks within leadership specifically that because a lot of times you'll hear complaints from young folks. So they'll, my boss didn't understand me. So a lot of it comes from frustration. So I think as growing into a good leader, the best thing you can do is when things aren't working out, is putting the shoe on the other foot and trying to also figure out how I'm not going to do that somewhere with my team. And I think that just makes whether it's our tone, whether it's a rolling of eyes, whether it's a jab, whether it's whatever those little things are that you didn't set well with you, just don't ever take on those bad qualities. And I think that's going to just propel you. And again, do things and make somebody else look better just because it's somebody you believe in. Make them look good. Throw them a good bone. Let them do that because, again, that's going to build a trust and a relationship between you as well. And we all have something we can give. So I hope that makes sense. But I think our worst times are, as Kurt Bossart, I don't know if you knew Kurt Bossart. Kurt Bossart used to always quote his dad, and I used it for a long time. It was, my worst day is somebody else's dream day. And that is so true in the court system. As you think you got a rough day, you should see this court case upstairs. Or whatever it is. It could be at home. It could be you upset your wife because you didn't do the dishes or take, whatever that thing is she needs you to do that you forgot again, Wes. And, but again, take our mistakes and just take them, just do better. And I think that makes you good, a good heart first. I want a good heart in a person first. If you're a good person, we can do amazing things if you're a good person first.
Yeah. Chaz, as an HR guy, I did a lot of hiring. I've done a lot of hiring over the last 15, 20 years. And I only help a select few folks with their staffing at this point. Praise God, I don't have to do that because I've never really enjoyed it. But the ones I get to help now, it's not just about the skill set. It's we're hiring for the person. We can teach a skill set. But if it's a good person, that's the team. And they're so protective of their culture. Again, have the good heart. Everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah, I look at my staff. And I'm not going to point out who they were. I mean, I've had some who came from the restaurant industry. I have some that came from retail. I've got some that were finished their degrees in physical therapy or so many different backgrounds. And when people come here and come to work here, you can kind of check those things at the door. Can you learn? Can you retain? Retaining is a big thing, and that's for all of us. Can I remember, a code section? Can I remember your partner's last name or your partner's first name, or just those little things that make you connect to your staff. But again, in my world, you don't need a specific background. You don't need to be a paralegal. You don't need to be a legal secretary. You just need to be ready to learn difficult things at times and keep the process going, because this, the halls of justice are only as good as the people that are sitting down here keeping the paperwork flowing.
Yes, sir.
And they're really good.
I went through the planned list of questions that I've tried to stick with for these conversations. Is there anything that I've not asked you that you'd like to share?
Well, my dog Fridley comes to the courthouse pretty much every day for the last 7 years. So if you come down here, we brought him in, which is kind of fun. If you're down in the courthouse, say hi to Fridley. And that was, a lot of times people bring their kids in here to the courthouse. Kids shouldn't be here in the courthouse when they're filing for divorce or something else. So it was this whole idea of bring the kids back, let them see the dog, give them treats. And we are getting ready to launch Fridley's run for the first dog mayor of Harrisonburg. So you'll be seeing more online for us, because we can't miss that opportunity. But again, I just thank you for letting me just chat with with your team. I think that reach out. I hope people do choose to reach out. I hope I've met I've seen people around, but there's 2 new young fellows who recently said, hey, let's have a coffee, beer. And absolutely, let's do that. Let me just learn about you. Let's figure out where you're at and see where my journey and my steps, my trips. Let's figure out all those things, and let's see what we can do to help you do better. And so I'm here if people ever reach out.
And you mean it from the bottom of your heart. I've experienced that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Chaz, thank you for taking the time wherever this is being accessed. Sure. Links to Chaz's website's there. Links to the June 13th event is there, and so on. Chaz, Cindy and I deeply appreciate the friendship, the partnership, and just appreciate all you do. Gosh, you make a difference in us and everybody that we interact with. Thank you for the time.
And I am grateful to you, Wes, and I'm grateful that Cindy puts up with you.
Oh, amen to that. Yeah, I'll close by saying, hey, if you have a need, if you're accessing this, have a need for continuing education, Cindy and I have invested the time and energy to be approved providers in the HR space, but we can work with some different entities. We have a program that's part of this bigger Leading at the Next Level podcast that's got more than 160 hours of curriculum that we've developed over the last 7-8 years. I'll give you a 45-day all-access trial, no cost. Send me an email at admin@dove-development.net. Happy to hook you up. Thanks for your time today, Chaz, and whoever's accessing this. We love you. God bless. We'll see you guys soon. Ooh.